going to start at the beginning. Long, long ago, there was a world far away, and this world was very, very prosperous. They had everything they could ever want for. They had plenty of food, and these people even had a way. They knew what to take and do to keep themselves from getting old even. But they were very prosperous. The Creator had given them everything they would need. But there was an evil entered this world, and these people became selfish. They started envying what other people had, and all such as this. Now, these things, evil can be contagious, and it can be as destructive as fires and floods and disease. But anyway, and the animals and everything started to catch this contagious disease that was evil. They didn't want to share. So the birds flew far away so the people couldn't hear them sing. And the fruit trees quit blooming, and the crops quit blooming, and they quit producing any food. Even the clouds in the sky withheld their water. Now, these people had everything, but they didn't have water. They needed other things still. And so it was all because they became selfish. Well, this world started to dry up, and people began to die. And there was this woman with this small child, and she knew she couldn't last much longer. But there was an eagle sitting up on a limb, and he spoke to the woman, and he said, "If you will allow me, I will take you to your child to a world far away, a green world beyond the moon. The wind has promised to blow me there. And if you will allow me, I will take your child with me, and she can live there for as long as she would like." Well, now this woman did not want to give up her child, understandable, but she knew they weren't going to survive in this world. It was dying. So she gave her daughter a farewell kiss, and she placed in her mind all the things she would need in this world that she was going to. So the eagle clutched the blanket of the baby, and he flapped his wings, and they rose, and they got higher and higher, and the mother watched until they disappeared into the horizon. But she could see this green world far away. Wind blew eagle and the baby for we don't know how long, but eventually they sat down on what is now South Mississippi. And there before Eagle's eyes, the baby grew into a young woman. She had the knowledge and she knew how to do. So she went about her way and was very happy in this world. She had everything she needed. She didn't bother the animals. They didn't bother her. But she was lonesome. She was the only person here. But time went on and she grew old. But because she knew what to do, she fixed a fire on the sandbar there, and she gathered different things, and she put it in there and started a fire, and she drank a little of that brew, and then the smoke rose up, and she rubbed her smutty hands and drank some of that brew, and she became young again. Well, this happened numerous times over the years. Each time she grew old, she would make herself young again. But she was in a world of plenty, and she was happy, except she had no one to keep her company. She had the animals, but no one else. But in this same world, there lived a gopher turtle named Taha. When Taha hatched, he was a very small turtle, but he was a very curious turtle from the time he hatched. And he wanted to know everything about everything. Of course, his first friends was like lizards and mice and small stuff, except for the other gopher turtles. Now, most people think gopher turtles in the wintertime, they go in their burrows and they hibernate. But that's not true. These gopher turtles go down in these burrows during the wintertime. They are some of the greatest storytellers that's ever been. That is how we got a lot of these Indian legends, was from the gopher turtle, Ha-Ha. Well, that first winter, or every winter, Ha-Ha would listen to these stories. When he still wasn't a very big gopher turtle, maybe as big as your hand. One winter, a gopher turtle named Creeper told a strange story about this woman that lived amongst them. And he said one time, many years before, he had seen her old, and then she had went through her rituals down by the creek, and she had become young again. Well, this excited Taha, because he had never seen this human that walked on two legs. And he thought this was just a fabulous thing that ever was. Well, later Taha talked to Creeper in more detail and found out that, and from the birds and stuff, and found out this woman had now grown old again. And that probably she would be going through this ritual once more. So Taha, he decided he had to see this human woman. So he waited by, and he asked where could she be seen, and there was a path going down to the creek. Now on this path, when it got close to the creek, it had worn down and it was sandy, so it was real deep. The path was kind of deep, but up on the edges it was high. But Taha decided that spring he would eat berries and grass and stuff that was fairly close to this path. So when this woman came through, he would get to see her. Well, he waited and waited, and it grew into summer, but he didn't leave it, and he stayed fairly close and where he could get him something to eat, but he wanted to be sure to see this human woman when she come by. Sure enough, one day he was eating some berries that had fell under a bush a little bit, and there was a hush fell on the forest, and he knew what that meant. That meant something bad was coming. So he hid up under some little bushes there, and he scrunched up into his shell, and he peeked out. And who was coming down the path but this two-legged woman that he had heard about? But now, in all his awe and everything, he forgot that he was supposed to be afraid. His heart was pounding so bad, but he had to get a better look. So he crept out there on the edge of that path, and he was looking at this woman that walked on two legs, and he wasn't paying close attention, and that sand kind of started to slide, and he slid, and there he flipped on his back in the middle of that path. He was in trouble now. Here he was on his back laying in this path, and this two-legged human being was coming down this path. Now, no one had ever said anything about this long woman hurting any of the animals, but sometimes little turtles disappeared and no one ever knew what happened to them, so who knows, maybe she ate baby turtles. But she didn't. She picked Taha up and she kind of laughed a little bit, and she set him back up on the bank, and she took the berry bush and she shook it. A bunch of berries fell down so he could eat. And she just kind of laughed and patted him a little bit, and she went on her way down to the creek and across the creek, and there she went. Oh, Taha was so excited, and he was scared, but then he was excited. He had a wonderful story to tell that winter when all the gopher turtles met back up on the burrows. But then the following spring, she was still an old woman, because see, Taha could listen to the birds, you know, the birds and other animals saw this woman walking through and they kept better track of her than gopher turtles can do. So they kind of informed him of how she was doing. And she was starting to get more gray hairs. So Taha decided that he was going to wait and watch. And there was nobody that knew that every time she made herself young again, it would be like down there by the creek or where it would be. But he decided that's what he would do. So he hung around that general area. And sure enough, one day she started putting her pine cones and straw in a circle, and she got her a bowl, and she gathered a bloom of this and a berry of that and a root of this, and she mashed it all together, and she put it inside that circle, and she lit the fire, and the fire went up real fast like pine cones and straw will, but then it burns down pretty quick. Well, she took her smutty hands and she set it on the side, then she sprinkled a little more straw on it, and the black smoke rolled, and she took her a sip of the root, and the sun shone through the cloud, or through the black smoke, and on her, and it did its thing. She became young again. Oh, this was just so exciting for Taha. I mean, and now he had still another story to tell. And this went on, and Taha became one of the greatest storytellers any of the turtles had ever known, because he talked to all the animals, he talked to other gopher turtles, and he had him a tremendous collection of stories all the way back to creation that had been handed down from all the gopher turtles. And then time went on, and she began to get old again. And so Taha knew that once more she would probably go through her ritual of making herself young again, because all the old turtles had told through the years. You see, these turtles lived, some of them way over 100 years old, so they had a lot of knowledge. Or they do now. They may have lived even longer than that back then. But, so, Taha was telling the forest animals, all the forest animals would gather around a long time and wag their tails while Taha would tell them tales. And he told them the story about the lone woman that lived amongst them, and how when he was young, he had seen her change and become young again, and she was getting old, and she was probably going to do it again soon. Oh, this excited the animals so much. They got all excited because they wanted to see this old woman make herself young again. So they promised Taha if they saw her doing any, putting these pine cones in a circle or gathering this stuff, that birds would, and different ones would check on to keep an eye on her, and they saw that, then they would come get Taha so he could come see it. So true to the word, it wasn't long till one morning the birds realized what she was doing, and they told all the other forest animals, and Rabbit run and got Taha out of his burrow, and Taha, gopher turtles don't move too fast, but he moved as fast as he could that day. And here he come. Well, he'd gotten to be a sizable turtle by then, because it had probably been 60, 70 years. And so here he come, and when he got down there, she had done formed her circle and was just about ready to perform her thing. And there was just a big crowd of all kinds of animals down there around that woman. But she didn't seem to bother her that she had gained a big audience of animals to watch her go through her ritual. But Taha crawled right up there by the Coon family. Now, Grandfather Coon was right there, right there close, and all his family was behind him. But in those days, Coon was just a kind of soft gray color, a light gray color. But anyway, Taha had warned them that when she made that fire, because she created the fire, that it was going to be very frightening, but the fire wasn't going to go anywhere, and it wouldn't hurt them. And because he had watched it from a distance, but he assured them it wasn't going anywhere in that sand. But when she lit that fire, this frightened a lot of those animals. They just couldn't stand it. They took off. But a lot of them did stay, especially the coon family. Grandfather Raccoon was just right there close. And Taha thought that was real strange because Grandfather Raccoon had never impressed Taha as being real brave, but apparently he was braver than Taha had thought. But what Taha didn't know, ever since Taha had told that story, Grandfather Raccoon had been thinking. He had been making plans. So, when the woman lit the fire, it went up, and when it settled down, she reached with both her hands and set the bowl aside. She sprinkled a little more straw on it, and the smoke rose up again, and she turned to get the bowl to take a sip. Well, who had their hands on the bowl but Grandfather Raccoon, almost to take a sip. Well, she flipped sand in his eyes, and he dropped the bowl. Didn't spill it, he just dropped it. Took both his hands and went to rubbing his eyes. Well, see, he had smut on his eyes. And he rubbed trying to get the sand out of his eyes, and she reached down with both her smutty hands, and she got him by the tail. And she went swing, swing, swing a couple of times through that black smutty smoke. Didn't hurt him, it was just smoke. And she slung him out over the bushes. Well, he hit the ground running. Well, when all this commotion happened, all the animals that had been left ran. Everybody but Taha. Taha sucked everything up in his shell and just sat there. He was scared, but he knew he couldn't run. So the woman calmly reached and got her bowl of brew. She took her a sip, and she threw it down over there towards Taha, and it splashed on him. And some say that is the reason Taha lived for so long and got to be so big, but now we don't know that for a fact. But anyway, she rubbed her smutty hands through her hair, and the sun shone through the black smoke, and she became young again. But Taha had peeped and was peeping, and she just couldn't resist, and he was seeing it all up close. And she turned. She said, "You are a brave turtle. You didn't run." He said, "I'm not brave." He said, "But I couldn't run." She said, "Are you always so honest?" He said, "Yes, it is the honor of the gopher turtles that they always tell the truth." So that is how Taha became good friends with Farland, the lone woman in the forest. Well, then time went on, and she confided in Taha about a lot of things. She told Taha about the world far away that she had come from, and how it had been destroyed because the people quit sharing and loving one another, and how she had been brought to this world by the eagle. Well, and she said she was happy in this world, except she was lonesome. There was no other people for her. Well, Taha could understand that, so Taha took it upon himself, and they had an animal meeting, and they decided that the Creator was the only one that could solve her problem. So they sent Eagle to the Creator, and the Creator explained this. That Eagle explained the situation to the Creator. So the Creator came, and he took the longleaf sap from the longleaf pine and mixed it with the red clay dirt outside of Taha's huge gopher hole. And he created a mother and a father and sisters and brothers and a whole tribe of people for Taha. And this is the legend of how the people came to be, which became Indian people of South Mississippi. This is how they came to be. Well, now it was these people's unchangeable destiny when they grew old, they would pass away and go back into Mother Earth, and their spirit would rise to the forever land. But now Taha could live on for as many lifetimes as she wanted to because she was not from this world. But time went on, and she was so happy, and right at first they tried living in Taha's hole with him. But that didn't work out too good. They had to build him a village. There was just too many people in Taha's hole. He was a big gopher turtle by then, but that was just too crowded. And, but anyway, so time went on, and they had many, she married this handsome brave, and they had many strong sons and beautiful daughters, and time as it does rolled on, and she and her husband started getting older. They had grandchildren. But she decided when she got old and time for her to pass on, she did not go through her ritual again because she wanted to stay with her people and be like her people. So when it came time, she died, and her spirit went with the wind to the forever land, and her body went back into Mother Earth like all her descendants. So that's where Farland is to this day. Thank you.